We are rolling.
Bradford, ever since being traded from Philadelphia, he's looked amazing. He's not just managing the game, he is taking it to the
Sadly
next
enough,
level. He's
just
finding
5 years
receivers.
ago, that was me. Minimal to no broadcasting training or any skills. I'm Jansen Harris, CEO of the Just Good Network. Over the last 5 years, I've come up with practical ways to get better speaking with confidence on camera and doing voiceovers. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old, if you're 70, if you dropped out of high school, if you have a GED, if you have 15 years experience in a different field. There are practical techniques that you could do day by day to get better, week by week. And I have a training program for that. If you're interested in getting better in transparent and practical ways, inbox me today or visit us at justgoodnetwork.org. Let's get better together.
Jason Harris here with the final point of the Just Good Network. Joining me for the second straight week is Mr. Vincent Turner from the 901. Look, he knows this sport. I couldn't wait for today. We talked on the phone earlier, had a great conversation, and he's always ready to go, always transparent, always has some of the best sports takes in the game. How are you doing, Mr. Turner?
Hey, how you doing this evening, Mr. Harris? It's always a pleasure. You left out one thing, Vincent Turner of 100 Yards Football in the 901.
Excuse my ignorance. Excuse my ignorance, and thank you for correcting me on that. Let's get into the Carolina Panthers. They're 3-0. Pretty good start to the season against the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen what they did in the home opener, just taking apart the Eagles. They're 2-1. What are some of the keys to victory, in your opinion, Mr. Turner?
I'm gonna start with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna say the Monday night performance was very impressive to me. I thought it was maybe one of the most balanced performances I saw on both sides of the ball. I'm gonna start with the offense. A couple of years ago, I didn't think Dak Prescott at the time was deserving of a top 10 rating as one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the game. I would say this, after watching him on Monday night in the home opener, I would put him in the top 5. Like how he ran the offense, 235 yards. I think that's what he had on the evening. But his ability to control the offense and the ability to throw the football on the dime, on the spot. Then I like about what the Cowboys did. Even though the offensive line, I thought, played real well, Dallas was able to run the ball. Ezekiel Elliott, 95 yards. Tony Pollard, since you bring up the 901, Tony Pollard, 70 yards. Melrose High School, Orange Mound, baby. Representing the 901 looked real good. Then Cedric Wilson, another 901 guy, had that really nice tiptoe catch for a touchdown. His father played at the University of Tennessee, got a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But overall, very impressive with the Cowboys offense. If I had to take one thing, Connor Williams, the eyes of Texas, baby. Come on, you had 3 holding calls. That's not championship football at all. But other than that, I thought the offense really ran well. Could have put more points on the board. Now I'm going to talk about the defense for the Cowboys. We all know Dallas is going to score points this season. If Dallas is going to take that next step and be a Super Bowl team, it's got to be with the defense. I still think they got ways to go. But overall, I'm impressed with their progress under Dan Quinn. On last Monday night, Trayvon Diggs is developing into an elite corner. Man, has his game looking better. Had that interception return for a touchdown. Michael Parsons is who I thought he was going to be. When he came out, the Dallas took him number 1 overall 11 pick. He's starting to play well. I thought Randy Gregory had some good game. I thought Jalen Smith played well on the evening. But it's the secondary overall. Played decent. Anthony Brown, Jerron Curse, Dompe Casey. But at the end of the day, I can say I'm pleased where the Cowboys are. 2-1 on the year and tops in the NFC East. Now let's go over to the Carolina Panthers. Can I say shock wave, shock wave, shock wave? Matt Rule, when he took the job at Carolina, it was some people locally in this market said they didn't think he could coach because what he done at Baylor. But I tell you what, In a way, I'm surprised, but I'm not. Jackson, let's talk about your New York Jets. They got to be looking silly. They got to be looking silly.
That's true. That's all facts.
Sam Darnold, 888 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns, 3-0. USC in the house. Matt Leonard, Mark Sanchez, Vince Evans, represent California AA. Sam Daniels look good, man. Pro Bowl. Even though they lost Christian McCaffrey, don't worry. Help is on the way. Chubbard Herbert out of Oklahoma State. They're not going to miss a beat. Trust me. Then I looked over at Carolina. This is a team that's got a lot of good players, man. DJ Moore on the offensive side of the ball. Baller. Rodney Anderson. Again, let's go back to your Jets. Foolish. Rodney Anderson is very decent. But this is why I'm impressed with Carolina. And if I had to say what the keys are going to be in the game Sunday between Carolina and Dallas, Carolina's defense against Dallas offense. Carolina defense, man, they got some players. 14 sacks on the year. Shaq Thompson, University of Washington. He's making us forget about Luke Kuechly. He's making us forget about Thomas Davis. Dante Jackson out of LSU, elite. Brian Burns, elite. Hassan Reddick, that came over from Arizona, elite. Derek Brown, from where you from, Jackson, Gwinnett County, by the way of Auburn. And boy, Jeremy Chin, one of the better safeties in the game. I'm being honest with you. This is a good football team, the Carolina Panthers. So on Sunday, it's going to be the Carolina's defense matching up against the Cowboys offense. Power on power, Dante Jackson covering them receivers from Dallas, and the ability for Carolina's D-line to put pressure on Dak Prescott.
Okay. When you look at this game and Carolina going on the road to the Cowboys, what is your prediction for this? What's your prediction for this? And what do you think it'll come down to? Because to me, Mr. Turner, I think this is going to be a close game. I think this game's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think Sam Darnold is going to make a lot of plays. I think Dak Prescott a lot because of the contract, and maybe he is top 5. I'm starting to believe it too, Mr. Turner. I think that in the fourth quarter, a big play needs to happen. And I think, look, maybe I'm sipping the Kool-Aid too much, but I'm the Cowboys. I think there's going to be an interception or a fumble from Sam Darnold, and I'm picking the Cowboys 35-28. To me, this is another must-win game for the Cowboys. The Cowboys need to win this game, and I think they'll do that. I think the Cowboys will be 3-1, and Dak Prescott will dominate. They're working the Pollard in with Elliott. They have to get some balance there. The passing game clearly is already there. If the Cowboys consistently get a pass rush, just like a lot of teams, you got the quarterback who could throw the ball over the place. You get a pass rush, it's a wrap. You see what Diggs is doing, and he's doing a phenomenal job. We talked about that last week. I got the Cowboys 35-28, 3-1, and they look like a team that's going to go deep into the playoffs. What's your prediction, and how do you think it'll play out?
Well, I mean, it's very simple with me. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, love the Cowboys, but I have to be realistic. This is the National Football League. I agree with you on one occurrence, Jansen. I think it's going to be a close football game. I think it's going to be a field goal that's going to side the game. I think it's going to be a game that's going to be back and forth. It comes down to a small minimum because when you look at it, the Carolina Panthers improved to me after 3 weeks. They're a good football team, man. Sam Darnold, who's who I thought he could be if he had help up in New York. Now he's with a team, Matt Rule. They know what they're doing. And remember, Matt Rule, in his first draft, drafted all defense. Then they went out and got Sam Darnold. So this is a football team that's almost built like a playoff team. But what I'm saying is this. I think it's going to be a close football game, field goal game, 24-21. And usually in this game, it comes down to coaching. Which coach is going to be able to outcoach the other, because the game is going to be very, very close, as you said. Too many good players on the field. But I'm taking the Cowboys 24-21 in a very close game. But I will say this, though. I think Carolina has a better defense. I think they got better playmakers on that side of the ball. The one thing that concerns me about Dallas, and you talked about this last week on our Cowboys segment, and you said this, and I agree with you 100%. Dallas has got all the talent to really take it to the next level and improve. Can they be consistent? Big game Monday night against Philadelphia, you answered that. Now you're coming back playing who you know, maybe a playoff team. Can you be consistent and win against good teams week in and week out in the National Football League? Cowboys 21, Cowboys 24, Carolina 21.
And it seems like Mr. Turner, I don't know if I'm just falling in love with the way he's playing the game. And we talked about it last week. Mr. Diggs, man, he's just reading, reacting, playing with so much confidence. I don't know if it's a Quinn thing. I don't know if it's a natural progression, but I just love the way he's playing football. Look, before we move into college football, and I asked you last week, and this is one of the segments where continue to break down what Diggs is doing at the cornerback position and how he is growing, and give us a perspective on this, because some Cowboy fans, they're a little bit maybe shocked. Some Cowboy fans, they're like, yeah, we thought this would happen. Give me your take on Diggs and those first 3 weeks.
Well, I think it's very simple. He came in as the number 2 pick last year. Usually the cornerback position is maybe the toughest position outside the quarterback position to play in the National Football League. Think about it. You out there on the island, the making in this league, you got to play press coverage. You got to play man-to-man, and you're actually playing against some of the greatest athletes in the world, from Jerry Rice, Kevin Johnson, Randy Moss. Think about that. So I think what has happened with Trayvon, he came out of a good program. Let me say that, at Alabama, when he was facing competition every day. Think about who he was going up against: Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith. Then in the SEC, facing Jamar Chase. He came in last year, and the Cowboys, from a defensive standpoint, I don't know if it was the scheme under Mike Nolan, but obviously he struggled a little bit. But that's what happens with first-year corners. But he comes in under the scheme under a pretty good defensive coach in Dan Quinn, and you see what good players do in this league. You either, when you're on a professional level, after that first year, you're going to go in the off season and you're going to put the work in, or you're going to go and you're going to do traveling. Well, I'm looking at Trayvon Diggs. It's very simple, Mr. Harris. He's put the work in. He's learned the position. And that's why he's playing with more confidence. That's why more balls are coming to his way. And he's playing very aggressive. And it's that simple. There's nothing else to say. The great ones do that. They go from year 1 to year 2, and they become better. The Deion Sanders, the Darrell Greens, the Pat Thomases, the Kevin Smiths, the Hanford Dixons, the Frank Minifields, the Darrell Reeves with your Jets. It's very simple. He took that progression from year 1 to year 2.
Absolutely. I love the breakdown. I love the comparisons. And I definitely think Diggs, I'm starting to fall in love. I don't know if it's too much, Mr. Turner. Maybe you got to check me, but he's starting to become one of my favorite players in this league, because I love his reaction time. I love his footwork. I love the way he's just hungry to get better. And that's what I'm seeing out of him. And good. Love your breakdown on that. Want to give a special shout out to Your Future Media. For all media purposes, visit Your Future Media and the Level 1 Game Room. Let's talk about college football. Huge game. Number 12 Ole Miss versus number 1 Alabama. Last season, Alabama won 63-48, high scoring game. Remember, Najee Harris, he just went off. He was unstoppable, over 200 yards, 5 touchdowns. This is a new year. A lot of those Alabama guys are in the league now. What are your keys to victory, and what do you expect Saturday at 3:30?
Well, like I said, Mr. James, I look at it like this. You ever been to the track meet? I look at it like a 4x100. What I mean by that, offense is going up, down the field. I'm going to look at Ole Miss first. I like what Lane Kiffin has done over there. Explosions. Matt Corral, you got to be thinking like this, baby. You're going to be the game of the day. This is a Heisman statement game. You're going in playing number 1 Alabama, a team that you had success against last year. Then think about this. Look at what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss in his short time. Offensively, probably they're going in the history books as one of the best offenses, really constructive, averaging almost 52 points a game, leading the country in scoring 633 total yards of offense. And they got a quarterback that's got 997 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And they got 2 NFL receivers, and Dante DeTorio Drummond and Jonathan Mingo, averaging almost over 17 yards a catch. But when you look at Ole Miss, man, this is going to be a very dangerous football game for Alabama. They can move the ball. They can score. They got playmakers. And when you look at that Ole Miss offense, I'm looking at it like, man, I'm going back in history. I'm looking at the 1980 BYU with Jim McMahon. I'm looking at Auburn in 2010 with Cam Newton. I'm looking at the Oregon Ducks in 2010 with Michael James. I'm looking at 2005, the Longhorns with Vince Young when he had 467 yards in the national championship game against USC. I'm looking at 2019, Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers that broke every college record offensively. And then the Houston Cougars under that man out of Dickinson, Texas, Mr. Andre Ware, who won the Heisman throwing for 4,700 yards that year and 46 touchdowns. Matt Corral, this is going to be a statement game. And what better? You got a coach that coached in the Alabama system. And if he know any weaknesses, he sure proved it last year. What did you say the score in the game last year was, Mr. Harris?
It was 48, sir.
Okay, that was a close football game. Now, on the other side of the ball, why I see that Ole Miss has a great chance, there's no question about it. Bryce Young, Alabama's averaging 46 points a game. Bryce Young has got almost 1,000 yards passing. Bama Jameson Williams had one of the best dual games last year, 2 kickoff returns last week for touchdowns, had almost 258 purpose yards, had an 81 touchdown reception against Southern Miss. So Alabama has the playmakers on offense. But this is the thing that I think why Bama is really taking a step back. They got good defensive players. Josh Jobe is going to get drafted in the league. William Anderson out of Dutchtown here locally in the metro Atlanta area is probably the best defensive player the defensive end. But you know what? It's not the Alabama defenses of the old and stopping people. The 79 defense they had Brian Braggs, Marty Lyons, E.J. Jr., Rich Ringo, Don McNeil, Barry Krause, Jim Bob Harris, or the 2011 team that set so many defensive records in the SEC. They had Mark Barron, Dre Kirkpatrick, D. Minor, C.J. Mosley, Dante Hightower, Robert Lester, Courtney Upshaw.
C.J. Mosley, by the way.
Right. That defense is not like this defense. So what I see on Saturday, I see a high-scoring game. I see an entertainment game. And I'm going to be honest with you. It might come down to the last team that has the ball last in this football game.
So even at Mr. Turner, for some perspective, even at home, you don't think that Alabama even has the advantage? Because the way you're talking, you're saying it could come down to the last possession. So you're saying Ole Miss, they're not afraid of this Alabama team. You don't think there's no fear base of going on the road?
I'm gonna lay 2 points here to you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir.
The first point, I'm gonna go back. I just mentioned Alabama's defense, right? Let's go back 2 weeks ago against Florida. In the second half, but overall in the game, Florida put up almost 270 yards rushing. Yes. That doesn't happen on the Alabama defense or the pass under Nick Saban, but it started to happen in the last 2 years. And they struggled against Florida, stopping them offensively. I'm talking about Bama's defense. And think about this. This is the key point why I'm saying this is a different Ole Miss team. 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss beat Tulane 61-21. This is the same Tulane team, I believe, in the second week of this season, went up to Oklahoma, who was number 2 in the country, and played them to a 40-35 game. Let me repeat myself. Ole Miss beat Tulane 2 weeks ago, 61-21, and could have easily put 80 points on them. So when you look at the balance here, Ole Miss offense, I think, is going to be able to keep up with Alabama offensively. And granted, I'm not going to make no statement. Alabama has more better players. They're a more better team. But I don't think Alabama is there where we've seen them over the years defensively. And I think Ole Miss is going to be able to move the ball and score points. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think it might come down to the last possession. And you know what? Lane Kiffin coached under Nick Saban. So who went against the defense every day? And he's going to go back to last year's game film. He's going to take some of them plays that he had very successful. But you know what? He's got a quarterback out of California who right now he's doing this. He's sleeping. He's thinking about this can be his Heisman moment. And he fits the mold of these quarterbacks that's beaten Alabama in the last few years. Trevor Lawrence, Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, and Deshaun Watson. What do all of them have in common? They were accurate with the football, and they can make plays with their legs. And they can beat Bama in that press coverage. Matt Corral is a good football player, and we might be watching a Heisman Trophy candidate on Saturday.
Okay. Let's move on to Arkansas. They're ranked number 8. You proved me wrong. They did what they had to do against Texas A&M. It is what it is. I'll give you your flowers for that, your credit. At Georgia, number 2 Georgia. Look, this is a tough one. In Athens, this is 12 o'clock. What are some of your keys to victory? And who are you picking in this game?
I'm going to say this, and being an Arkansas alum from 1978 to 1982, let's start here with this. When the college football season started, did anybody picture Arkansas being number 8 in the country right now with 2 wins on 2 top 10 teams?
Absolutely not.
Okay. What I like about it, again, you have another pupil and teacher. Sam Pippen has went up to Arkansas in his little 2 years up there in a short time. It's nothing that Arkansas is not going to do fancy on Saturday. They're going to run the football. That's the key to the game. Who wins the line of scrimmage? We know Georgia's the better team. They're more balanced, especially defensively. I was telling somebody on another platform this evening, I think this Georgia defense might be the best in school history. When you look at Jordan Davis, NFL, Lewis Klein, NFL, N'Kobe Dean, NFL, Adam Anderson, NFL, Nolan Smith, NFL, then JT Daniels, NFL. They got playmakers on both sides of the ball. Their offensive line, Jamari Slayer, might be the best offensive tackle in the country. But however, Arkansas is number 8, and Arkansas is playing with house money. 18-point favorite. A lot of people picking Georgia. But this is the key that I look at for the key points of the game for the Razorbacks to stay in the game. Number 1, KJ Jefferson, the quarterback. 880 yards already on the year passing. Second rusher on the team. Again, another guy that's a dual threat guy. Over the last couple of days, within the last 48 hours, there have been some rumors that he's having problems with his knee. He's going to be ready to play on Saturday. There's no question about it. The Arkansas offensive line, who I told you last week was the best offensive line in the country, look like I was right on that. Can I get some amen? I think I was right on that they had the best offensive line in the country.
Look, I'll give you some credit for that Texas A&M win. I'll give you some credit. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little concerned about how they're going to deal with that defensive line of Georgia.
Marion Cunningham, Ricky Strawberg, Ty Clark. I told you there was the best line in the country. But the key of it is, there's no question about it. Georgia is the best in the country right now. They're giving up 2.3 yards a pop, 69 yards a game. Like I said, Georgia is in a fair rate. And you know what? The Dogs might be the best team in the country. But this is a Razorback team that's built to be physical. They're going to run the football. They ran for 330 on Texas. They ran for 197 for A&M. But what they have is that they got people on the outside that can make plays in the passing game. Georgia, I think from a defensive standpoint, they're going to do everything they can to stop the run on Saturday against Arkansas and make KJ Jefferson beat them over the top. Well, I'm going to bring up something I brought on the other show this evening. Deron Kendrick has played pretty well this year, right? The corner from Clemson. The NFL corner. Now, their corners played well against Clemson in the first game out. Joseph Natter and the other young man, Justin Ross. But remember this, when Deron Kendrick was playing with Clemson last year, and I'm just throwing it out there for the Dog fans, he went up against Chris Avellay in Ohio State. And Justin Fields was under center. Now, by no means I'm saying KJ Jefferson is a Justin Fields. But you know what? Chris Avellay put 132, and 2 touchdowns on Deron Kendrick. So if the Razorbacks can just get maybe 3 yards a pop, 4 yards a pop, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, I'm taking my chances with Treylon Burks going up against Deron Kendrick. Because you want to know why? Deron Kendrick soaking wet at 6'1", 190. But Treylon Burks is 4'4", 6'3", 225, and his nickname is letter T.O. Then one other thing. Let me talk about the Razorbacks defense. Grant Morgan, 30 tackles on the year. Bumper Poole, 28 tackles on the year. Hayden Henry, 28 tackles. Trey Williams is becoming the starting defensive end last week against Texas A&M. 2 sacks and 3 holding penalties. And then you got the man, KJ Jefferson. It's very simple. It's going to be a line of scrimmage game. Georgia's going to make some plays. But don't think that you're going to come into Athens, Georgia, with your 93,000 and you're going to bully the Razorbacks. It's going to be toe for toe that evening, brother. And all I can say is going to be a close football game. If Arkansas is able to get success on first down, and last week against A&M, they made a statement with Trelon Smith, the running back. The first 3 plays for the Razorbacks were 16 yards running, 15 yards running, 12 yards running. By no means, I don't expect them to do that against the great Georgia defense. But if they come out and get 4 yards here, 5 yards there, 3 yards there, control the clock, shorten the game. Then when Georgia gets the ball, and think about this. We already know about JT Daniels. California guy out of modern day high school, same high school, Matt Leinart, Matt Barkley. And granted, he played real well last season, came on the scene against Mississippi State, played well against Cincinnati, and he played well against Clemson. But you know what? Arkansas is a different football team than Clemson. 20 senior starters. Not as talented as the Georgia football team, but Arkansas has been in 2 wars already.
That's true. I have a question for you, Mr. Turner.
Go ahead, sir.
Here's my question. Is you said the 93,000. How is Jefferson going to, maturity-wise, how is he going to deal with that pressure, just the pressure of the fans? Do you think that'll get to him at all? I'm not talking about skills. Arkansas obviously is a hungrier team. They have nothing to lose. I agree with that take. Arkansas has been tested. This is a team that is for battle. This team, it brings up concerns for Georgia, who sometimes they play down to competition, which I think they could show in the first couple quarters. But how is Jefferson, the quarterback, the leader of Arkansas, how is he going to deal with those 93,000 fans, in your opinion, Mr. Turner?
I granted he's going on the road. Didn't play to the end of last year. Came into the season, won the job. But I think he's going to be all right because, number one, he's already been in the war. Granted, they played Texas at home, but Texas came in 15th, and they was the underdogs in that game. But the game that I was looking to see how he matured, he came back next week against Georgia Southern, threw for 336. A very good Georgia Southern team. Then he went down to Jerry's World before 70,000 and played real well, played hurt in that game. So when you look at that young man, I don't think it's going to be no problem. 6'3", 225. He's from the state of Mississippi. Sodidus, Mississippi, which is about 50 miles from my hometown of 901. And I got much love and all the confidence in KJ Jefferson. The only thing that I'm worried about is he healthy. And I'm going to tell you, as I tell everybody else, listen to me, Just Good Network. He's from Mississippi. It's something in the water in the state of Mississippi. Brett Favre, Archie Manning, Eli, Peyton Manning, Steve McNair, Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, and my parents, Chester Inez Turner. People that come out of the state of Mississippi, they're different. And KJ Jefferson, you know what? He came into the season and nobody heard of him. But you know what? As I just said in the Ole Miss game about Matt Corral, don't let KJ Jefferson lead the Hogs to victory and have a good game. We might need to start talking Heisman. Because think about this. Arkansas beat the number 15 team, the number 17. If they come into Georgia, they'll beat the number 2 team. And then they got Ole Miss coming up. And they got Auburn. If they make it through that, then, hey, it's going to be something special in the state of Arkansas. And all I can say is this. Much love to the people from Jonesboro, El Dorado, Cabinet, Little Rock, North Little Rock, Forest City, Dermont. If you're watching this video tonight, raise up and get ready to call them Hogs. A lot of people don't know what that means up in Northwest Arkansas. Whoa, pig, suey. That's all I have to say. And remember this, the Razorbacks are playing with house money. We're 18-point favorite, and everybody's picking Georgia to win the football game.
Absolutely. Look, Mr. Turner, great breakdown. And I always love the celebration and stuff. Give me a score prediction on the Razorbacks versus the Bulldogs in this one. Hostile environment in Georgia, number 2 team in the nation. But one thing I do like about the Razorbacks and why I personally think it'll be a closer game than the 18-point spread is just because the Razorbacks have been tested. They are a tough team. Do I think Georgia's going to win by a couple touchdowns? Absolutely. Because not just the fact that Georgia should win, it's the pressure that we're looking at Kirby Smart and saying, you need to win a title. When the hell are you going to do it? Excuse my language, Mr. Turner. But if you lose to Arkansas, and I'm not saying Arkansas is a bad team, they've done a lot of great things, but you lose to Arkansas at home, that's not a good look. This Georgia team, the expectations this year is to get to the national championship and it's to win. Not to lose to Alabama in the SEC title game, not to drop one to Florida, get upset by this. It's to win. Kirby Smart was brought here to win. He hasn't done that yet. The pressure's on him. That pressure, I think Zamir White, Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns. But Mr. Turner, give me your score prediction.
I totally agree with you 100%. I think when you look at it, I think it's going to be a close football game. I think the Razorbacks are going to stay in the game for 3 quarters. I think based on the fact of Georgia's depth and its superior talent, I think Georgia is going to pull away in the 4th quarter. But things will happen that can change that. And I think it's going to be for Arkansas to really stay close, being able to run the football. I predict if they can get over 150 yards to 170, they're going to stay in the football game. And most of all, KJ Jefferson playing turnover-free football. If that happens, I think it'll be a close football game. But Georgia should win going away. I'm predicting the score 31-20.
Okay.
But I think when it's all said and done in the middle of the field, I think that Georgia's going to come in this football game, the most better football team, deservingly ranked. I think deserve to be the top team in the country. But at the end of the day, this is going to be an Arkansas team. I think it's going to match you face-to-face, man-on-man, toe-to-toe. And I love what you just said because you put the Georgia Bulldog fans on the nation. See, as I told my other people or the other platformers on this evening, Georgia, for the last 3 years, y'all have had what, the top recruiting classes?
Absolutely.
No, nothing under the top 3. The expectations, Kirby Smart has built the program right now to where I didn't never thought it could have seen. Mark Richt had it kind of like at a status quo. Let's just win the SEC East, and that's good. But the thing about it is, I want to say to the Dog fans, y'all have not won nothing yet. Y'all have not won nothing yet. as Mr. Harris said, the expectations are on y'all. And this is the year that I think Georgia needs to make it happen. Alabama lost a lot. They're starting a very talented quarterback and Bryce Young, but he's only in his first year. The East, Florida might be better than we anticipated, but you're still the better team in the East by far than anybody. But this game right here, for me personally, is going to show me where Georgia is right now as a football team. And I'm so glad and blessed that you made the most important comment tonight. The expectations for the Dogs. And you know, you Georgia fans, y'all very obnoxious. And you, the only fan base I know that you have a national championship before the season starts. Well, let's see what you're going to do on Saturday against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Thank you for Mr. Harris for bringing that good point up. The best point of the evening, the best point of the week. Expectations, and you both to be there. And this year, you both to be national champions.
Look, Mr. Turner, I'm with you when it comes to that. And I'm with you with the comments that you made about KJ Jefferson. If Arkansas wins this game and KJ Jefferson looks good on the ground, maybe gets 60, 70 yards on the ground, maybe 280 through the air, a couple touchdown passes, clean with no interceptions, he's in the Heisman race. He's in the Heisman race. And guess what the talk of Georgia is going to be? In Georgia, it's going to be Kirby Smart hot seat. That's how I'm looking at it. If Georgia needs to win this game, they should win this game. With all the recruiting class, they should win this game. But what concerns me a little bit in the back of my mind is Arkansas has nothing to lose. Arkansas, I wouldn't be surprised they come out. Of course, they want to run the football. I wouldn't be surprised they come out, they throw the ball down the field. Let's test. Let's throw the ball down the field, see if that works out. So this game, is it dangerous for Georgia? Potentially, yes. Do I think they'll take care of business? Yes. But knowing Georgia's past, Kirby Smart, he's done an okay job. I'm not even going to say a good job at Georgia with the players he got in the expectation. He done an okay job. Not a great job. But this is a game you can't lose. At home, 93,000 people. You beat Clemson. Unfortunately, Clemson is kind of declining, and that's bad for Georgia. So what are people doing now, Mr. Turner? They're questioning Georgia. Maybe this win isn't as, quote-unquote, sexy as we thought it was. You need to beat the brakes off Arkansas, and you need to run the table. That's what the expectation for Georgia is, run the table. So Saturday, there's no excuses. If Georgia loses, that's going to be the talk. Is Kirby Smart the right guy? Is he the right leader to lead Georgia to a national championship? Because that's the expectations. Win a national championship. It's not just beat Arkansas. It's not even just beat Alabama. It's win a national championship. So to me, Georgia better win. Darn near a threat. They better win that game. But if Arkansas wins, like I said, and KJ Jefferson looks good, absolutely. He's in the Heisman conversation. And Arkansas is probably going to be ranked number 2. And that Alabama-Arkansas game is going to be crazy, how they promote that game. So that's my last take on it. Do you have any last thoughts that people need to maybe look at, maybe some players or key things they need to look at that maybe people aren't talking about, Mr. Turner, in this game they need to watch out for?
To me, I keep it very simple. I think Arkansas has to run the ball. I'm looking at it between 150, 170 yards. They do that, they're going to stay in the football game. I think they're going to control the game. KJ Jefferson is going to make it easy on him. Impossibility, the health of KJ Jefferson. How healthy he's going to be in the football game. Georgia's going to make plays. They're going to move the ball. And another key point, which team has the most explosive plays? Because you're going to have NFL talent all over the field. This is a game that if I'm a player from both sides, I'm Georgia and Arkansas, and I'm right there like a Jordan Davis, a Nakobe Dean, or a Trey Williams, or a Trayvon Burks. Hey, man, this is a money game for me because you know why? Scouts are going to be in the arena, and it's the best on the best. And finally, all I can say is me being an Arkansas alum and due respect to your network this evening, I got to do this. Ooh, pig, soy. Ooh.
When are you gonna teach me it, man? When am I gonna learn?
Hey, Suey. Okay, you want to call the Hogs. This is what you do. Raise your arms up. You go like that. Now follow what I say. Woo.
Pig. Okay. Soy. How was that? Hey, Mr. Turner, before we end the broadcast, give your analysis on the way I did it. Do I get an A grade, B, C, D, E, F?
No, we gotta go one more time so I can give you an A+. Watch me again. Woo. Hold it right there. Woo. Then you come down. Pig. Suey. Razorbacks. A+.
Hey, look, Mr. So I'm getting credit tonight. I appreciate that. That brightened my day up. Jansen Harris here with the final play on the Just Good Network. Mr. Turner giving the great knowledge. He's from the 100 Yards of Football Sports podcast. Guys, check that out. He's giving you now information and in the past, which most people don't do that. And of course, he's from the 901. And Mr. Turner, thank you for coming on again, giving your transparent view. I thought you were picking Arkansas today. I'm not even going to lie. I thought you were going to go with the upset. So I appreciate your transparency and stuff like that. And I can't wait for the game Saturday and these other SEC games.
Well, I was just being honest, man. I have to don't get my emotions in it. To be honest, a true Arkansas fan, man, I didn't think the Razorbacks would be here, even ranked number 8 in the country. And I'm very proud of what Sam Pittman has done in representing the university. A lot of people made fun of him when he was at his first press conference, and I have not remembered that. Some people that I was listening to on the radio over in Clemson, you know who I'm talking about over there at 105.99. Your initials was MP. You're not saying that right now where your football team is looking right there at Clemson. Then I'm going to call somebody out on the call letter 680. Today you was talking about how injured KJ Jefferson was, but it seemed like to me you was a little worried. So at the end of the day, the Razorbacks are playing with the house money. And they're already ascending over there in Athens, Georgia right now, Thursday night. I wish I could go there on Friday evening, but unfortunately I got to work Saturday. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that I'm finished with my job by 12 noon, and I'm going to be in somebody's sports bar, Buffalo Wild Wings, or somewhere downtown. And I guarantee you, I'm going to watch every play of that football game. And don't get me wrong, Georgia is the better football team. Like Shane Beamer, the head coach of South Carolina, Georgia supposed to be who they are. They got the best talent, just as good as Alabama. But you know what? Georgia, you're a physical football team, but the Hogs are not going to back down. And if KJ Jefferson is healthy, it's going to be a close football game. It's something in the water in Mississippi. That's all I got to say to my parents, Adlai and Chester Turner, KJ Jefferson. And I'm going to leave you with this. Mr. Harris, don't you know that young man grew up 40 miles from the University of Ole Miss campus? And Arkansas was able to go in there and get him. Kudos to Sam Pittman, baby. God bless. Now you see where we ate. 8th in the country. 8th. That's the facts. Coming in that Stanford Stadium. And I'm hearing everybody picking Georgia. But I'm so happy this evening that you made the most greatest comment of the week. The pressure on Georgia and nothing less than a national championship, or else you might start talking over there about your head coach, who I think is a good man, and I think he's a good football coach in Kirby Smart. But the pressure's on Georgia to win this football game.
Absolutely. I'll end this here, and we're going a little overtime. I like Kirby Smart. Don't get me wrong. Likable guy. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like you're doing Georgia a favor. The recruits are always going to come to Georgia. Huge university. You should win. You put Sam Pittman on this as the Georgia head coach. Don't even get me started with that conversation.
Now you open up a can of worms. Now you to my Sam.
Just saying.
Sam Pittman.
Let me stop.
You said Sam Pittman. Now you're going to have the Dog Nation mad at you, man. But like I said, hey, it's what it is. But hey, man, they're going to lace them up at 12 noon. It's going to be a good football game.
Absolutely. Mr. Turner, thank you for joining me, breaking down the Cowboys Panthers. That's a huge game that I feel like media needs to talk about more. And these huge SEC games, I can't wait for it. We're going to have a reaction. We're going to talk about these games next week. I appreciate you for coming on, man.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Very honored to be on Just Good Network this evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invite. And
No, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And you're doing great things in your network, and keep working.